What percentage of people do you think know that you're a Townsville girl?
Well, when I meet people, they do say, "Where's your accent from?" And to be honest, there's definitely an insecurity there.
Yeah.
Because when I moved to Sydney originally, I remember working for this company and that these women at this company sort of mocked me about it. So I actually went and got voice coaching because I was self-conscious about it. Because I thought that people judged me and then they made a judgment of you're this, you're that, and then they would put labels on me. So if I could try to disguise it by not sounding like, well, I don't know how I sound. People say I sound Australian, but I'm like, well, I live in Australia and I was born here. What should I sound like?
Yeah.
So that, trying to just maybe not disguise where I felt like people in the companies I used to work with would judge me and they put labels on me, or they would tease me or make fun of me. I've been through it all, like heavily.
Really? That's pretty intense. So even before you got into cyber?
Oh yeah, 100%, absolutely.
How old were you when you came down to Sydney?
18 years old.
Really?
It's so wild.
Yeah.
So wild. I don't know. It's sort of like I grew up in this town that I didn't believe I belonged in. And then my dad would take me to Sydney on holidays. I'm like, oh, it's the biggest city in Australia. Like, I've got to move here. Like, something's happening. You go out in the street and there's just people in the street. Like, where I grew up, there's no one in the street. Like, there's no one there.
Yeah.
So it's like those type of things motivated me. Like watching movies and all those types of things of people living in these big cities. Like, I had that dream. And I think I still have that dream. Yeah.
So you just decided, like, at 18, I'm just going to go down to Sydney. And were you studying, or what was
No,
it like?
so my uncle and his wife at the time, she got posted in the military to Sydney, so Coogee Beach. So my mum was like, hey, can Karissa come and live with you? Because she's obviously my daughter. She's 18 years old. She grew up in Townsville. Like, so to give you some perspective, like, there's like one bus that goes around the whole, there's no like all of these buses and stuff that go around here. So like no one takes a bus. The only time I took a bus was when I couldn't drive, but I had a license at 16, 17 or whatever it was when I was driving to school. I had horses, I had a car, but I had a boyfriend back then. And then I remember, oh my gosh, this is so random. I remember my mum saying, you better go to Sydney. Like, don't care about this boy at the time. And she ended up really liking the guy. I was with him for a few years, even after I moved. But she was like, make sure you go. I don't want you to stay here because of a guy. And I'm so glad she pushed me to go.
That's pretty good advice. That's pretty good advice.
She's good. You've obviously met her anyway.
I have actually,
There were definitely times when I came down because I started to realize how out of my depth I was when I came here. And it's just like I had to start way back from everyone else. But I think because I've had to start way back, it gave me a sense of know-how on how to navigate through not knowing stuff and just figuring it out.
Yeah, you kind of learn how to, as we say around here, like get it out of the mud.
100%. So I think for me, those things people don't consider. So I'll give you an example. My first corporate job, which I got on the spot, mind you, I was 18 years old. It was in the MLC Centre. I did not know, because it was on level 57, and I didn't know back then that you'd have multiple elevators for floors. So I was like, where? It just, I would go into the elevator. I'm like, there's no level 57. It doesn't exist. And it sounds so stupid. I mean, this is me being really like honest right now.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, anyway, I found it. So I got up there. I'm like, they said, okay, just take a seat in the waiting room. The person interviewing is actually running late. And I'm like, oh, thank gosh. So I was like, collected my thoughts because I didn't want to like get in there and straight away you're in an interview.
Yeah.
Got the job on the spot. It's because I had done my research. I had asked questions. I literally whipped out a notebook, took notes, because my first job was a junior secretary to a CEO of a company. So the guy was like, wow, this is fantastic. And like, that's my career.
That's how you got to Sydney.